Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll talk to a serial entrepreneur who's been called to help the homeless. If you have a narrative running in your head about why people are homeless, you need to watch. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I have to tell you that the issue of homelessness has always been near and dear to my heart because of my dad. He fed and clothed the homeless in downtown Detroit in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s. And so I've always had a soft spot for this issue. And that's why I invited Bob McCarthy on my show. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's making a real profound difference with the homeless issue in Fort Worth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we get into the homelessness issue, I want people to know you. I mean, you didn't start off with money. You didn't start off with success. This is all like bootstrapping, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is.
So you started out as a cabinet maker with a loan from your mom and dad?
I moved to Fort Worth 40 years ago as quick as I could, and got tired of swinging a hammer in the snow, and moved to Fort Worth and became a cabinet maker. And 1983, we were tired of our paychecks bouncing, and talked to other guys about starting our own shop, and I actually got fired from my last cabinet shop.
Wow.
And called my folks in Washington, they lived in Stuttgart, Germany at the time, and borrowed $2,500. It was enough to buy 2 weeks worth of groceries for my family and get started.
Wow. And that grew into a very successful business. Tell us about Cheyenne Construction.
So this was Tarrant Interiors, and started on the front porch. That lasted about a month and a half. Got kicked off my front porch, and opened a shop in over off of West 7th in Fort Worth, and got started. And in 14 years, we grew that to 485,000 square feet of factory. We were building all the Barnes & Noble, Bombay, Men's Warehouse stores, store fixtures all over the nation. And then a Fortune 500 company stepped in and bought us in 1997.
Wow. Bob, I'm sure the audience can tell you're a very humble guy, and we met through EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But the reason you're here today is for the issue of homelessness. Tell us what you started in Fort Worth.
So I dabbled in, with our church, had programs that would go down and feed the homeless or bring gifts at Christmas or, food drives, clothing drives. And I kept getting called to that neighborhood, and, I was trying to figure that out. And then one day I was having lunch with Toby Owen, the director of Presbyterian Night Shelter. And for 45 minutes, he talked about how all the businesses were trying to run them out of the neighborhood. And at the end of that 45 minutes, I looked at Toby and I said, Toby, what if I moved all my companies into the homeless neighborhood and we made it their home, not mine? And of course, Toby looked at me like it was smoking crack. And, he's like, you would do that? And I said, I've always loved the Parker Brown, and I'm being called to this place. And so let me look into restoring the Parker Brown building. It'd been boarded up for 20 years. It was a 3-story warehouse, historic warehouse. And we looked into it and put the numbers together. When we finished, we were going to be $1 million upside down. And I looked up and he looked down. I said, this is where you want me, and this is all yours anyway, so let's get started.
Wow. Okay, hold that thought. We found an amazing video that will set up this conversation beautifully. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
I ended up going on probation. back in 2010. Well, due to some medical reasons, I lost my job. So 4 years later, I could not keep up with requirements, which ultimately, some things I couldn't hold up on my end. My probation was revoked. So I did some time, unfortunately, and then when I was released, I had nowhere to go. And so that's what brought me to homelessness.
So the Leg Up program started a little over 3 years ago. I had lunch with Toby Owen, the director of Presbyterian Night Shelter. And for 45 minutes, he talked about how all the businesses were trying to run them out of the neighborhood. And at the end of that 45 minutes, I said to Toby, why don't I move all my businesses into the neighborhood? We make it their neighborhood, not ours. And Toby looked at me and said, really, you would do that? I said, well, let me look into the Parker Brown and see about restoring that building and making that move. And so we made a big stake in the neighborhood to have a voice. And the voice being, teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. And we want to teach a man to fish.
Wow. I got chills. Tell people more about what you see when you see homeless people.
So when you actually meet them and spend time with them, our conversations start, and when they're talking to you, at first their eyes are here. And within a week or two of working with them, their eyes are here. You build trust. They're no different than us entrepreneurs. We take arrows every day from all sides. And as entrepreneurs, we deflect those through confidence, right? When our confidence is high, those arrows deflect. But when our confidence is low, those arrows penetrate and can actually kill you.
Wow.
It's the same with the homeless. They're in fight or flight, right? And so all we do is we build their confidence back, that we share information with them. We don't, we're honest, brutally honest with them about helping them and caring for them, but the work is theirs, right? We can show them the roadmap, but 100% of the work is theirs. And if they're willing to give that effort, then we're willing to help, right? They don't know things like, I've hired thousands of people over the years, and they don't know that I would hire attitude over skill every day. They don't know that. And when you share that with them, they're like, really? I said, I can teach you skill. I can't teach you to come to work on time. I can't teach you to have a good attitude. I can't teach you to work hard. But if you bring that game, I can teach you how to run. I can teach you to be in my seat.
Wow. So when you talk about teach a man to fish, who stands out in your mind? I know you've met countless people who are living out, your dreams. Anybody come to mind in terms of like a success story?
Oh man. Dr. Robert Lupton, his story in Atlanta is just amazing. Had a very successful congregation, thought they were doing great things at Christmas, going into the poor communities, bringing Christmas and dinner. And then he realized the damage he caused, and he changed it. He went and moved into that neighborhood, and opened a store. He created a food co-op and taught them how to run it themselves and how to manage it themselves. When they go on retreats out of country and build a well, he'll talk about in his book Toxic Charity that he teaches them how to build a utility versus others that go into foreign countries and build a well and then they go back a year later and it's broken. They didn't teach them how to fix it. They didn't teach them how to run a utility. They didn't teach them how to teach the next village, right? So teaching them how to fish is really where it's at.
That's so powerful. You teased me before the show. You said we got visited by an angel. So tell us that story.
So my office is up on the 3rd floor. It overlooks downtown Fort Worth, right there in East Lancaster. And and I can see the front porch of my building next to me. And, you know, if 2 or 3 people gather and then they'll put a tent, and I'm trying to run a business, and it can be frustrating, right? And I guess one day I was having a bad day, and I peeled out of my desk and ran down the fire escape, across the parking lot, and I shoot him off my front porch. And there was a lady there that was fragile. I felt about that tall. And 2 days later, I saw her again, and I peeled out of my desk, ran across the parking lot, and sat next to her, or talked to her, and introduced myself, told her about the Leg Up program. And she looked at me and said, "Mr. McCarthy, thank you, but I really don't need your help." And I was like, "But you're living on the street. I can help you." She said, "Thank you, but I don't need your help. Thank you, though." And I went back up into my tower and didn't know what to do with that. And a couple days later, I saw her again and peeled out of my desk, down the fire escape, across the parking lot, and I sat next to her. I said, "How are you today?" She says, "I'm fine. Why do you want to keep talking to me?" I said, "Because I want to help you. You're a woman on the street. I hate that. I want to help you achieve your dreams for yourself. Will you let me do that?" "No, I'm really good. Thank you. I appreciate your help." Went back to my office Thursday morning. I was in my Bible study group. I shared the story. And my buddy Troy Kunkel looked at me and says, "Bob, do you believe in angels?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Buddy, God was just working on your heart." And I was like, "Holy mackerel, that's what's happening." And I never saw her again.
Oh, wow. And it gets me that this chokes you up, because when you think about it, you're taken back to that day, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
He was totally working on me.
Well, and I think you're doing a great job working on the hearts of our viewers. In the time we have left, I'd like to spend some time talking about EO Fort Worth. Okay. So you have a terrific organization, something like 100+ entrepreneurs. Right. Tell us about EO Fort Worth.
So I got dragged in 10 years ago, kicking and screaming. I didn't have another minute in another day, let alone another organization, right? And a buddy of mine said, "Bob, this will change your life." I was like, "Okay, John, great." And he kept after me, and finally I gave in and joined. And obviously I drank the Kool-Aid, because I'm 10 years in, been president of the organization. It gave me my entrepreneurial spirit back. I was 50, ready to hang up my shingle, pretty burnt out, and I got my spunk back, and I've given another 10 years, and here I am about to turn 60, and giving back to that organization because it's given so much. But what I'd love to share about EO, when we gather globally as entrepreneurs, it's the most amazing thing for me. It's the greatest hope for our world. That I was in the Oktoberfest tent in Frankfurt, Germany, with 2,000 entrepreneurs from 55 nations. It didn't matter what color you were, what sex you were, what country you came from, what religion you practiced. We were all trying to provide a better life for our families. And we were sharing our best ideas together. And that was just a great hope for me.
Wow. We found another video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
EO Fort Worth is an incredibly strong chapter. We're known across the globe for our strategic alliance partnerships and our learning events and, of course, our culture.
EO Fort Worth chapter is coming up on its 10th anniversary. So in EO's 35-year history, fairly new chapter and very high performing. We have the largest sponsor participation in the United States. I literally could get any one of the 100 members on the phone today. And not only could I get them on the phone, but they'd bring a heart for service and help. That's very unusual, no matter where you are.
It's kind of this hidden jewel for me and has become a really instrumental part of my life, and not just with my business, but just in my personal life. Made some great friendships with the people in my forum, and I've had an opportunity to grow with all of the different educational opportunities that EO offers, and the different learning opportunities have been really exceptional for me.
Just being able to bounce those ideas and hearing the different speakers that EO brings, the learning luncheons, the learning events, all of it. There's not any one thing. There's a whole host of things.
It's almost like having your own board of directors. So a lot of times if you're a sole proprietor, you don't have the ability to talk to other people in a way that you really need to talk to them, because your employees don't understand, your friends don't understand anymore. And so having your own board of directors that are also business owners, I think is worth everything that you have to pay for being a member of EO.
It provided me with a community of like-minded peers, and I realized that I was not alone. There's lots of people and other business owners in the community and in the world that are going through the exact same situations, good and bad.
Wow, what a beautiful organization. I can vouch for it as well. I'm a proud member of EO for now 7 years, and it's really helped the trajectory of the business. What I'll say about it mostly is you find just some like-minded people who, they may come from different industries, but they can see a blind spot. And sometimes you're dealing with something and it's somebody else in a completely different industry who says, have you thought about this?
Yeah, it's been amazing, just all the different perspective. And it's not just business, it's family, the things that we walk through with family and our children and our marriages. And, as entrepreneurs, we stuff 5% because one, people can't keep it confidential, or they don't know the shoes we walk in, right? And we don't have to do that anymore. In the 90s, being an entrepreneur was very lonely for me. And since I've joined EO, I don't have to be lonely. It's just, there aren't words for that.
Wow. We've only got about a minute left. So, Bob, your camera is the one on the right. Talk to the viewer about the importance of giving back. It doesn't have to be homelessness. It could be your issue. But, part of your success is because you care so much.
I've been blessed beyond my imagination for many, many years. I was married 2 weeks out of high school with a child, and I've been on a faith journey that brought me through business. And it's lots of ups and downs, but I always come out on the other end, and giving back to those that need our experience, that can maybe save a few steps. I think it's important, and that's how we build a great city. That's how we build a great country. That's how we become leaders, not only here, but in the world. And I believe in it, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. I would love for us to come together as a community, and a lot of us give back, right? And if we could come together more collectively, we can have a bigger impact, especially on teaching how to fish. Yeah. Not just giving a fish.
Bob, thank you. I think you taught all of us how to fish today. Thank you. We're going to end with the website, which is eofortworth.org. Bob McCarthy, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.